Tonight, results are also pouring in two other local communities for a mayoral election, as well as statewide for the race for U.S. Senate.
On the Democratic side, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has won the Democratic primary for Senate, leading against opponent Michael Costa with the majority of votes.
And as for the Republican race, Patricia Morgan has secured a spot on the ballot, beating out opponent Ray McKay, with more than half of voters backing her tonight.
Meantime, incumbent Mayor Don Grebian won the Pawtucket mayoral primary race, also securing a spot on the ballot for this November. He defeated Cameron Segala in the Democratic primary.
And over in Woonsocket, the three-way nonpartisan race has been narrowed down to two candidates. Both John Ward and Christopher Beauchamp will continue on in their race to fill the seat for Woonsocket's mayor.
And Ted Nesi is back here again to break down the results.
And Ted, no big surprise for any of these races here?
No, I think it was a pretty quiet primary day, and it led to a pretty unsurprising primary night. But I do think there were a couple of takeaways I would highlight as we digest the results in the newsroom. First of all, a very strong night for incumbents across Rhode Island at all levels. You saw U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse renominated with over 80% of the vote in the Democratic primary. We just heard from our reporters in Cranston, Ken Hopkins getting about 60% of the vote in his primary. So same thing in the General Assembly, where we saw that a lot of lawmakers beat back opponents. Then speaking of Cranston, the question I have now is, can Robert Ferry make it a race this fall? He's the Democratic nominee for Cranston mayor. Obviously, there's going to be some bad blood after a divisive primary in the Republican side. Can Ferry make hay out of that? Then the other takeaway, Woonsocket. You just saw those numbers you two showed. The incumbent, Chris Beauchamp, placed second. Now, he's still going on to November because it's a runoff election, but you know, to not come in first for an incumbent is sometimes a worrying sign. Do they have enough organization, or is there some undercurrent of discontent in the city? So definitely worth watching what happens up in Woonsocket.
Ted Nesi always taking the pulse of local politics.
Absolutely.
We appreciate the insight. Anything to say about the low turnout?
Well, I was just surprised, Shannon, that people were surprised because there was so little for the average voter to really worry about. And then looking ahead to November, I don't think that's going to be the case. Obviously, things will be dominated by the presidential race. Rhode Island hasn't voted for a Republican for president since 1984, so I'm not expecting that to be competitive around here.
All right, Ted, thank you.
And Ted will have more on WPRI.com.